Okay, so I've checking your group channels, and then these are still public, but don't join other groups. And so basically, they're talking about everything about the game, and I try to monitor your group time to time, and then in fact I actually get notification whenever you have some discussion going on. So I try to follow that just to make sure you guys are making enough progress. And here, uh, quite honestly, group project is hard to manage, and I'm not sure about you. Well, so far I didn't get that any complaint yet. I hope I'm not going to get any complaints, but usually, probably next week, people kind of begin like a complaint, like, oh, because of this person we couldn't make any progress, or this person never responded. I mean, yeah, I can tell you all different kinds of complaints and stories. Okay, so hopefully the reason why we're really doing this is, I mean, this is a reality. Okay, what I mean by that is, if you want to make a game, again, you will work with other people. Okay, and so take this opportunity to understand the nature of team environment, and then everything works fine. That's great. But even if it doesn't work out as you planned, I mean, try to learn something from that, because maybe for the next project, or again, in 300 level courses, you will have more group projects, and then you should, at one point, you should step up. If there's somebody who never responded, you have to do something. You have to do something about that. Uh, One way you can contact your instructor and say, oh, it's not working, and then this person never responded. So, I mean, that's sometimes that might not be the best solution, but it could be a solution. Okay? Or you can confront that person early on in the beginning and then say something. Or you don't say anything, but you're thinking in your head, I will never work with that person, uh, like at GMU. Okay, so I mean, try to take some learning opportunity from this. So that's why, in terms of game, structure is simple, and it could be very straightforward. It doesn't have to be that complicated. So I really want you to learn that team environment, how to work better in team environment. Okay? And today, well, I'm gonna have like maybe short talk about a few things, and then I'll let you work as group. And Thursday, I will let you work as I'll give you studio slash production day, meaning you can gather here or outside. It's totally up to you, and there's not going to be any attendance check. You will work as group to make progress on your group project. So Thursday, I'm saying there's no class, but I expect you to gather as a group and work on your group project. All right, today we're going to talk about a few things. One, dynamic positioning. This one, I want to kind of show you my face, yes. And what I want you to understand is, okay, there are some certain games, right? This is one of game that I play, and so here, remember these images and UIs, okay? So this one now I'm using Samsung Galaxy S7, probably 3 years. It came out like 3 years ago. So this is a UI. Okay? So this is something you will see, okay? Something like this. And same game in iOS, especially 11-inch iPad. Oops. No. Okay. It's not connected to internet. Let me just connect it really quick. Okay. Wi-Fi. Actually, it is connected. Okay. Go away. Okay, so this is iPad. Kind of slow. So now this is the UI. So everything's pretty much the same, but the arrangement, the positioning is slightly different. And same game in Note 9. So same game, Note 9. Oh. So what I want you to think about is, okay, well, it's loading some stuff, but what I want you to think about is, okay, exactly same game, okay, in different devices, and now you see they're slightly, the layout is slightly different, okay. So now what I want you to think about is, okay, especially when you develop a game for mobile device, okay, you have to think about all these different things. So that's why it could be connected to OOP, yeah, object-oriented programming, because each element would be in same different game object, and they would be inserted with different coordinates. Okay, so I'm going to actually make that comparison in a moment. Okay. The same way, okay, I'll try to do something really quick. So now actually same two games. So this is same two games. So this one is Note 9, which has bigger screen. Okay, so let me actually. All right. So this is Note 9. Okay. And then this is S7. Okay, same game, but you see how they are slightly different. Okay. So now if you think about the alignment, okay, so I can actually tell a little difference because this one right over here would be placed as a center. And this one would be left top corner, so meaning like 0%. This one probably 95%. And this one probably at the center, aligned at the center. So that's why this one, okay, aligned at the center, this, okay, go away. Okay, so this one, like 0%, well actually, wait, yeah. This is 0% and this is probably like 95%, or aligned at right top corner. Okay. So you have to think about all these different game objects inserted with its own coordinate or dynamic positioning. Yes. So this one, iPad 1, would be you will still see the same game object, okay, placed, everything placed inside of screen, but just different layout. So here, this one still would be 0%, maybe 95%, or this one at the center. Okay, so this is what's really happening when you create a game for mobile device. So in your game for now, it wouldn't be that important at this point because you have to think about maybe background image that fills up the screen, or if you want to have like some image at the center, you can just center that. Okay? But if you have buttons, sometimes you want to use that dynamic positioning to make sure it will be placed at certain percent so that even your gamer use different mobile devices, they still see that buttons in the same layout. Okay. Another thing is for the button, usually it's better for you to have simple icons. Okay, and then if you want to put the text in it, again, that will be slightly tricky because you want to make sure that text is big enough so that people can read it. But sometimes again, if people switch the device, it might not appear as you planned. Okay, so to go around it, again, like I kind of briefly mentioned that, like sometimes people create that device profile. Okay, so if resolutions, so screen width or screen height is bigger than something, you basically use that particular profile, and then use either different images or different things, different text size. But at this point, you don't have to worry too much about it. Again, this is some kind of exercise for you to create simple mobile choose your own adventure types of game. Okay? But eventually, that's something you have to consider, okay? If you want to create game for mobile device. Okay? And another thing that I want you to think about is publishing your game. Okay? So, anyone here published the game before? Or through Gatic or through any place? Usually Gatic, our student-run organization, they publish game on itch.io every semester or every year. Okay. So let's take a look at where you can publish your game. One, you can publish your game Google Play Store. And then to publish your game, you have to register yourself as Google developer. I think the fee is $25 per year. So it's not that expensive actually. It's $25. And basically, they will ask you a bunch of stuff, but we haven't talked about this yet. But if you want to publish on Google Play Store, you have to register yourself as a Google developer. Okay? And then you will get this particular key. So when you export, when you deploy your game from Unity, you basically have to use that key so that your game is unique, on Google Play Store. And then you have to go through probably like 10 pages long kind of questions, especially depending on the game rating. So few things that bothers me time to time is if you want to release a game as E rating, E for everyone, then they basically like ask you a bunch of questions that to make sure your game is safe for everybody. Okay? And then you have to go through another thing like in different countries, like which countries you want to release your game. Okay, so $25, and Apple developer program. It requires $99 per year. Okay, a little more expensive. So if you want to release your game on Apple's App Store, you have to have you have to pay $99 per year. Okay, and then same thing. Once you're about to release your game, you have to go through that survey, and then they have to approve your game, and depending on the size of your game, sometimes it take a day or two, sometimes a week. But again, like you have to go through that because they want to make sure the rating is right, and they basically want to protect themselves. So they take some time to review your game and then release it. So in reality, maybe Google Play Store, yes, it's only $25. It's worth doing it. Apple developers, yes or no, because first, if you want to publish your game for Apple App Store, in Unity, you can actually build your game for Apple. Then what's going to happen is it will build your game that can be opened in Xcode in Apple Mac computer. And then you actually have to deploy your game from Xcode. Okay? So there's like an extra step. And because we are more PC based school, we're not talking about that much about like Apple and App Store, but there's one more step for you to take to develop game for or deploy your game to Apple device, especially iPad or iPhone. Okay? And there could be Steam. So you can possibly publish your game on Steam, and I believe there's no fee, but you have to have a check ready so that that check should be connected to your account. So once you release your game on Steam, if you sell anything, they will pay you obviously, and you have to have the check ready. Okay? Even though you release it free, I think you have to have that check ready to connect Steam account. And Steam, it used to be, in terms of accessibility, it used to be kind of hard, but these days, I mean, there are so many indie games on Steam, and it's not that hard for you to publish your game on Steam. But the question is to get green light. That's a different story. But then again, like a lot of people these days say, green light is totally about marketing, and then it doesn't guarantee that game is good. So Steam these days probably not as good as it used to be. But Steam is another place you can publish your game. And there is itch.io. Okay, we usually call it as kind of Steam for indie developers. So it's free. You can create your account right away, and you can basically upload your game right away. Okay. So my goal is, if your game is presentable, okay, we will try to publish it on itch.io. That is why I want you to think about creating simple gameplay video along with some 100 words description and some screenshots. So here, if you click on it, this is how people market their games these days. So you can possibly see, okay, there's one big image, okay, and then some gameplay video or GIF, okay, and some description. Okay. So while you are working on your game, you can think about how you are going to present your game to other people. Okay. Title, gameplay video or GIF, and then simple description. Okay. So sometimes in GAME232, they actually, for the group project, they think about like who's going to work on the marketing. But in 200 level, we're not really going to market this game, so we don't think much about marketing. But okay, when you develop a game, obviously you want to make it presentable and kind of interesting to gamers, so that you kind of need to think about that. Okay, title with some game art, or you can totally think about that gameplay video or GIF. Another thing you can think about is, I think I do have, there are some free assets as well if you like to kind of play with it. There's free things. So if you are a graphic artist, okay, eventually you will think about how you are going to create your portfolio. ArtStation is a decent platform, but here you can actually, if you are willing to share what you created, I think it's worth trying to post your assets on itch.io as free, and then you can actually talk about, oh, I have this graphic art you can find on itch.io, and this many people downloaded it and used it. Okay? So that's like another thing you can think about. Along with this, I mean, there's many other game platforms these days, like Epic and all other. There are many other game platforms, but in reality, I would say itch.io is some like where you can start. Okay, this place is where you can start putting your game, and then you can get like people's feedback as well. Okay, so here for the game, this group project is good enough. Okay, we're going to try to post it on itch.io and see how people respond to your game. Okay. So I'll try to like make simple thing, and then next Tuesday after your presentation, I'll walk you through how to create login and stuff, what you need, and then how to upload your games and stuff. Okay. Any questions? I know you guys want to work as groups so bad. I know that. So yeah. So now is your studio time. So you can gather as group and make some progress for your group project.